Hey everyone, RogueGold here, and today we just got the FAQ about Seasons 2.0 and seasonal characters in the Division 2. If you have been out of the loop, this has been a hugely contentious and big point of discussion within the Division community over the past week here, since the introduction of seasonal characters was announced at Ubisoft Forward. This is not live in the game right now, it's something that is coming next season, but it is a big fundamental shift to how we will play the game, how people are going to interact on the game on a daily basis. And so it's led to a lot of questions and frustration for some people who maybe don't want to see the system and the game go in this direction. We did hear that the game was preparing some additional communication regarding this entire thing because there were so many questions about how exactly the system is going to work. And just a short while ago, we got the FAQ dropping that goes over quite a lot. This happened while I was live on stream. We tuned into it and read over it there, so anyone who tuned into that, thank you so much. But now we're going to get into the full details here, and I want to go through the entire thing, let you all know the information that we learned, and give you at least some of my thoughts. As I said, this is quite a rather long thing, so I'm going to keep it mostly breezy, kind of go through there, just let you know the info. And as always at the end, I want to hear your thoughts on everything that we go over down below. Per usual, I would ask that you keep your thoughts towards any other individual civil, whether you agree, disagree with someone. Let's just create a discussion. Let's talk about what we like and don't like about this system, but we don't need to drag people through the mud in the meantime. Without further ado though, let's go. So as you can see right here, they posted a short while ago, got questions about Seasons 2.0. We've compiled answers to all your burning questions in our latest FAQ article, including how seasonal characters will work alongside and enhance your main character. So let's jump right in. It is a 13-minute read, so again, this is going to take a little bit, but we'll go through it. And again, I want to hear your guys' thoughts at the end of it. So agents, we've heard how your concerns regarding the introduction of seasonal characters in the Division 2 with Seasons 2.0 later this year. We want to clarify how seasonal characters will impact your existing main characters and answer a few questions about Seasons 2.0. The main idea behind Seasons 2.0 is to break away from the current repetitive seasonal model by transforming the entire experience. With your main characters, we need to consider various progression and power levels, making it nearly impossible to create a well-balanced experience that is enjoyable for all. Starting all players at level 1 ensures that we have a clear understanding of where they are in their progression journey when faced with specific challenges. To put it simply, in order to craft challenges with precision, we need a fresh start. Additionally, seasonal resets bring another layer of excitement since modifiers are phased out at the beginning of each season, giving us the freedom to impact gameplay far beyond what permanent mechanics would allow. And this of course refers to the seasonal modifiers that they've talked about that we're going to be getting, how that should impact the gameplay. Let's see what they say. We omitted one important detail from the Year 6 introduction. With the revamped seasonal progression, you will have the opportunity to bring your main character into the last 2 weeks of each season, known as the intermission. The intermission allows you to revisit your main character with new content and seasonal progression using your current arsenal for experimentation, strategy, and dominance. At the start of the intermission, all rewards earned with the seasonal character, including shade levels, proficiency ranks, stash items, and collectibles, will be transferred to your main character. This transfer ensures that your main character will be more powerful than ever and prepared to tackle the season's climax mission in normal or master difficulty should you choose to experience the remainder of the season with your main agent. Get ready to see your favorites in a whole new way. Okay, so this is pretty important. It is also probably noteworthy to say this. During this time, the seasonal character will be added to your roster, giving you the option to play the season's climax mission with either the seasonal character or your preferred main character. So again, I don't expect, this article to like completely change people's minds who don't like the idea of the main character being more sidelined. That is absolutely, I would say, one big downside to the system. But they do say that in these final 2 weeks of each season, the intermission period will be exclusively focused on main characters, where then all of the rewards that you earn, the items, the levels will be transferred to the main. They can take on the master difficulty, and then there is that 2-week period where everybody is back playing their main characters. I don't think that fixes the issue that some people have with this, but it is a silver lining at least to the overall system and implementation. Alright, moving on. In Seasons 2.0, seasonal character progression is significantly sped up, allowing you to reach level 40 more quickly and gain shade levels at a faster rate. This progress will be shared with your main character at the start of the intermission. Expertise upgrades will not be available for seasonal characters. Instead, the Shade Watch bonuses will be increased to account for the missing power coming from expertise. Proficiency can still be earned by seasonal characters and will be merged at the end of the season. Please note that proficiency alone does not impact gameplay. Okay, so that's a pretty important one. A lot of people were wondering how these various progression systems are going to tie in. There is also more details coming on this shortly, so hang tight. But you heard it right there. Expertise is not going to be a part of the seasonal flow, the seasonal characters, but you will still earn proficiency on the new items that then transfers to your main when that season ends. But the shade level gain rate is increased by a lot, and it's the actual bonuses that you get are increased to account for the lack of expertise being there. So you should, in theory, be able to attain a similar power level. It's just through different methods. All right, and then finally, as a seasonal character progresses to level 40, they will not have to complete the entire campaign again. Instead, they will have the freedom to choose which content they experience without worrying about completing certain missions for specific unlocks. So that is another very big piece. A lot of people were concerned that leveling a seasonal character was going to be just like doing an alt character now, where you just have to go through the campaign. They say that it's faster, and they do give us actual numbers on that later on. Again, hang tight. There's a lot more details to come here, but that you do not have to just do the campaign linearly. They say that you have the freedom to choose whatever content you prefer to experience without worrying about certain stuff unlocking certain things. They've taken that all into account, and things are going to unlock naturally as you level up. All right, and then importantly right here it says, however, there is more to the upcoming changes than just transitioning to seasonal characters. We will share with you detailed information by hosting live Q&A sessions, our PTS, and during various live streams in the coming months to guide you through these changes. We also encourage you to check out the patch notes for the recent season. So that is a very important one, that they are going to do live Q&A sessions before this goes live, so that everybody who has still confusions or they want clarifications on how the system is going to work, because yes, it is a huge system, it is a huge change, and there's a lot of nuance and detail here. But they're going to have those platforms for people to ask questions. I think that's a very good thing. All right, we're going to skip over this first part about Wony because that's mostly about this season with the one endgame change that doesn't really apply to Seasons 2.0. So let's go down here to seasonal and non-seasonal characters. Firstly, will we be given extra stash space and or character slots? An additional character slot will be added to support Seasons 2.0 along with extra storage space. However, it is worth noting that no extra slots will be added for each individual season. So we knew about the character slot. They do say extra storage space. I don't know if this is like just directly going to be more stash space. They also talk about kind of like a transitional stash that we'll get to again in a few minutes. But in some way, shape, or form, they're saying we're getting extra storage. So there you go. Do I need to delete a character when a new season starts when all my slots are occupied? Again, no. We will get a 5th character slot, as they say right here. For instance, at the beginning of year 6 season 2, if you already have 4 characters, you can utilize the additional slot to make a 5th character for the season. However, if you have 5 characters at the end of year 6 season 2, then you would need to decide if you want to remove one to make a room for a new seasonal character next time around. So my guess as to what a lot of people will do is that they will use the new 5th slot to make a seasonal character, and then they'll probably delete it on a rolling basis each time that a new season comes around. We're not going to be getting like one new slot every time that a new season comes out, but it's good that to begin we won't have to delete anything. All right, this is a very big question that a lot of people have been asking. What is the point of keeping your main character if you can't use them for 90% of the future content coming to the game? Let's see what they got to say. We have taken measures to ensure that both seasonal and non-seasonal characters have meaningful roles and cool things to do in the game. The current model reinforces the way that a lot of players are using some characters as support for their main characters at the account level. I think that mostly refers to like Wony Mule alts that are used to do the material farm. I think that's mostly what they're talking about there. Seasonal characters serve a similar purpose on top of facilitating an awesome experience in the season through manhunts and modifiers. Additionally, seasonal characters also contribute to the overall account progression, which is represented through the power level of the main character. And by that, they're talking about how shade levels and everything are going to transfer over at the start of that intermission period like we talked about. All right, they then say the main character, if I can get rid of that, the main character remains the foundation of the account, enabling players to take on challenges at the highest power and difficulty levels. Furthermore, upcoming DLCs will present a chance for you to take on challenges with your primary character and its corresponding power level. Additionally, only non-seasonal characters will have access to legacy manhunts. So a few interesting things here. For one, we learned that when the Brooklyn DLC launches, you'll be able to play that on your main character. That was a big question I had. Is that going to be locked behind seasonal? But no, it should be available for the main characters. But it also seems noteworthy that they say upcoming DLCs, plural. You know, we talked just the other day about how year 7 seems to be a thing that the devs are going towards. Does that mean that we're going to start getting yearly DLC releases for the game? Maybe, but I don't know. That's there for now. Will there be any new content for the main non-seasonal characters? Non-seasonal characters will continue to have access to all the existing game content, including both Wony and the upcoming DLC for Brooklyn. Right now, there are no intentions to introduce another incursion or raid. Again, this is a very interesting thing that they say right here. I don't know if that just means for year 6, if that means for year 7, or whatever else they might be planning beyond that. But there you go. They say for right now, there are no intentions to introduce another incursion or raid. Big point right here, in my opinion. Will seasonal characters have access to their existing recalibration library? They say the recal library will be shared between seasonal and non-seasonal characters, the only exception being season-specific gear. During the season, you can transfer season-specific gear talents to the library where they will become available to your main character at the beginning of the intermission. So that's a big one. When you start a seasonal character, you will have access to the full library that your main character has. You don't have to refarm those roles and fill it up every single season. As they say, the only exception is that the new gear that comes in every season, that's not available to your main character until that intermission period begins. So when you store it in the library, it'll wait there until the intermission, and then the main character will have access to it. So there you go. Will seasonal characters be able to access or be able to use the account-wide resources and materials transfer? The answer is no. Seasonal characters will have access to their own separate pool of shared resources and materials, which will not be shared with the non-seasonal character pool. All right, when I have all my inventory and stash maxed out, will I lose the loot after the season ends and the seasonal characters merge with my regular roster? This maybe goes into some of the storage stuff they were talking about. They say once the season ends and intermission begins, you will be awarded a temporary stash to facilitate the transition of the seasonal items to the main pool. It is up to you to decide what to keep and what to discard or deconstruct during that process. However, please note that starting from year 6 season 3, if you still have items in your temporary stash, you will be unable to create a new seasonal character. So in many ways, this reminds me of like the expansion stash that we had in the Division 1 for the various DLCs. It's just saying that once the season ends, your items are not like, there's not a time sink or a time pressure for you to figure out what to do with them. It'll save them in this temporary place. You can then choose what to donate, what to keep, what to deconstruct, whatever, and then you do that. But if you leave them in there, you will have to address it before the next season starts or before you want to make your next seasonal character. So yeah, how will my hardcore characters be impacted? At the start of each season, you will have the option to select either a hardcore or a regular seasonal character. So that's cool. They're including the hardcore character thing within the seasonal system. This choice provides the opportunity to add an additional hardcore character to your roster at the end of the season when the seasonal and main characters combine. Your existing hardcore character will retain its progression, which can be shared at the beginning of the intermission period, the final 2 weeks before the season concludes. So that's pretty cool. I think that hardcore is included in this whole thing. Another important question here, will seasonal characters have access to global events? Global events as they are right now will remain exclusive to the non-seasonal characters due to their incompatibility with the new seasonal progression and modifiers in their current state. They will adhere to the established rotation model as presented in the game. Seasonal characters may eventually receive their own version of global events tailored to enhance the seasonal experience, but this implementation will occur at a later time. Okay, so what they're saying is that global events as they are right now do not mesh with the new modifiers they're creating, therefore they won't be available to seasonal characters. But if you want to play on your main character, they will still be there during the course of a season for you to play with and farm and all of that. And then they say they may implement something like global events for seasonal characters later on, but that's not going to be there at launch. All right, Manhunts 2.0. Will the new Master difficulty be available in any way for non-seasonal characters? Yes, the climax mission on Master difficulty will be available for both seasonal and non-seasonal characters during the intermission, a 2-week period between the seasons. Now, we already knew this, but yes, it just means that the new difficulty is available and intended for your main character and their power level to come play in. All right, another big question people had here, why tie the Manhunt to the seasonal character's participation? Why not allow me to play the story on my main character? They say in Seasons 2.0, the optimal way to experience the story is through the seasonal structure, utilizing a character with the appropriate power level to capitalize on features such as gameplay, modifiers, and seasonal items. The story will be adjusted to accommodate this new dynamic with multiple agents fulfilling the roles throughout the season. And then again, they say moreover, after the season ends, players can opt for the climax mission using either the seasonal or the main. This is the part that's very interesting to me. This implies, from what I'm perceiving from this, that they do have a lore reason for why we're switching to seasonal characters. Because it says the story will be adjusted to accommodate this new dynamic with multiple agents fulfilling the roles throughout the season. So by the time we reach the end of year 6 season 1, maybe it will become apparent why we're going to be doing seasonal characters, why multiple agents will be coming in to fill those roles. But for now, that's what we've got. All right, Seasonal Journey. My voice is totally doing fine after 2 hours of streaming. What will Seasons 2.0 consist of? There are 15 weeks of varied activities such as seasonal missions, seasonal projects, manhunt scouts, and priority objectives to be completed with your seasonal character, followed by a 2-week intermission period in which you can utilize the main. Your non-seasonal can be accessed at any time during the season, but with no access to seasonal content except for the 2-week intermission. So here we actually get a bit of tangibilization as for what the Seasons 2.0 model will consist of. Seasonal missions, I don't know what that is, but that's something. Seasonal projects, manhunt scouts we know is the new manhunt system, how they're delivering the story, and priority objectives. Again, no details on what these things are for now, but in theory, this is more than what we have now for the seasons. More content to go through than what the current seasonal model offers, so we'll see what comes of that. Another big question here that people were wondering, approximately how long is the accelerated grind to level 40 expected to take? Non-seasonal characters will require approximately 45 hours to complete. That's what is in the game right now if you want to do a secondary character, while seasonal characters are expected to take around 15 hours for the same activities. So they're saying that seasonal characters can level up to 40 in 1/3 of the time it takes for you right now to do a level 1 to 40 character. Whether Whether or not that's fast enough for some people, I don't know, but that's what they're saying right now. Will the grind to level 40 consist of the same current activities, or will it be different each season? To reach level 40, the seasonal journey will act as a guide, providing simple and quick challenges that offer great completion rewards while also aiding the player through unlocking key game systems. Additionally, at every point, the player can complete a variety of other activities in the game at an increased progression rate. Each season will feature unique seasonal modifiers that affect both players and enemy NPCs, providing a different experience than previously played content. So it's essentially what they said before, is that you can choose what you want to do to get to level 40. You don't need to do the campaign in the same order as it is in the game. And there will also be like these challenges they offer that give you good rewards, so they maybe guide you around to different content in the game. But for the most part, it's up to the player, and I kind of like that. Alright, will the seasonal story beats be introduced during the 1 to 40 grind, or will players need to reach level 40 to experience them? The updated seasonal journey in Year 6 Season 2 will allow players to experience the story irrespective of their level. In other words, new story content is no longer locked behind level 40 characters. So that's pretty interesting, because it means if you were to come in and make a seasonal character midway through a season, you could play the first 7-8 weeks of Manhunt Scout content and not have to do anything to get to level 2. Right, you could do it right away. I'm not sure how that plays out in the gameplay, but that's certainly interesting. Will players have to reach level 40 to start collecting season rewards? Seasonal rewards are not restricted to level 40. Various rewards unlocked through the seasonal journey, season pass, and other in-game systems are granted while leveling from 1 to 40. The Manhunt story will also gradually unfold through collectibles, allowing players to progress step by step. So in theory, this is saying that you can do the season pass from level 1. And I think that's interesting, because it would mean then when you reach level 40, you already have all these assumedly level 40 items, if they're gear sets and high ends, that you can then use right away. And if that ties in, if the seasonal gear theme ties into the modifiers they're doing that season, you know, I was saying on stream, it might be kind of like Destiny 2's Legendary campaign, where you're then given a build to use right away. So that could be kind of interesting. All right, what happens to seasonal collectibles? Another huge question people had, because they want to be able to get all the collectibles on their main character. During the intermission period, which occurs in the final 2 weeks, yes, we know, all characters obtained with, or all rewards obtained with the seasonal characters, such as shade levels, proficiency rank, stash items, and collectibles, will be transferred to your main character. So all collectibles that you earned are shared over. That means that if you're a completionist, you can still get all of that on the main character. They just won't be the physical ones collecting it in the meantime. All right, will we have access to the Shade Watch? We already know the answer is yes. They talked about this. It's significantly sped up, allows you to reach 40 more quickly and gain shade levels at a faster rate. The progression will only be possible up to a certain level. Upon repeating it, the Shade Watch progression will resume at a normal speed. So I'd assume it's fast up until the point at which you get all the stats, and then at that point it's probably normal, but that's probably what we're looking at there. All right, another very big question here that people want to know: why can't my level 40 character engage in the seasonal content? Why are you changing it for this way? The main objective of Seasons 2.0 is to ensure that all players can participate in endgame content on a level playing field, as well as allowing us to fine-tune the experience based on more controlled progression. Additionally, modifiers and season resets provide levers to ramp up gameplay challenges far beyond what any permanent mechanics would allow, thus avoiding long-term consequences. So this is more or less what they've already described, but what they're saying is that they have greater control if a lot of things phase out at the end of a season. So by creating this curated experience, they hope that the gameplay is more exciting, they can do more things with it, and I guess, time will tell once we get our hands on it if that ends up being the case or not. All right, PvP, we got a PvP section. How will the introduction of seasonal characters affect the PvP? Seasonal characters will only be able to matchmake with other seasonal characters at an appropriate power level, accounting for the level playing field that the seasonal reset brings. And then I just want to jump here and say, will seasonal characters have a separate DZ pool? Yes, the pools are separated between seasonal and non-seasonal. This to me is a great thing, because it means that PvP will continue to be balanced. You're playing with people who are at the same power level as you. I also think that the DZ specifically is probably going to be pretty fun on the seasonal realm, because that means that it'll be a lot closer to how those early Division 1 and 2 days were, where nobody has these huge legacy progression systems. Nobody has that like perfect build yet. You're still trying to get there. You're still competing with everybody who's at the same level. So that should be kind of fun. They also then confirmed that the seasonal modifiers are PvE exclusive. They will not apply to PvP. All right, and finally, multiplayer and matchmaking. How will matchmaking change with the introduction of seasonal characters? Seasonal characters will only be able to matchmake with other seasonal characters at an appropriate power level, accounting for the level playing field. That's what they said right here. But yeah, they're going to be in their own separate pool. It's essentially 2 separate realms in the game. And then they say, how do you plan to balance seasonal and non-seasonal instances? If old gear aligns with a seasonal theme, we may rebalance and revamp it. Any changes that are deemed appropriate will also be applied to non-seasonal gear. Our aim is to maintain a balance between seasonal modifiers and seasonal gear. We encourage players to find powerful builds each season. So I kind of like the idea of that. They're saying that if a season theme aligns with an old gear set or brand set that is already in the game, but maybe people don't use it a lot anymore. Let's say, for a completely random example, aces and eights. If there was like a sniper or a long range season and people want to use aces, but it's not quite at the level it needs to be, they may rebalance or revamp it for that season specifically so that it has that usage and aligns with the current modifiers that are in the game. And so you'd think, hopefully, that then means that those things have more relevance and there's more builds to make. Okay, folks, well, my voice is completely dead, but there you go. That is your entire FAQ on Seasons 2.0 and seasonal characters for the Division 2. As I've continued to say for a while, I'm reserving making final judgments until we actually get our hands on this, but I think this FAQ does give a lot of good additional information. It gives a lot of reassurances for things like progression carrying over with the recal library, things like collectibles transferring over, the implication that there is a lore reason why we're making seasonal characters. Some good details here. Again, I'm sure that not everybody is going to be happy. Some people are probably still going to be quite upset with the idea of their main characters being sidelined, and that's completely valid. I totally get it. All I ask at the end of the day is that, as always, we keep things civil, share your thoughts in such a manner down below, and I'm going to go drink like a gallon of water to try and save my voice. Thank you all so much for watching. We'll talk more about this soon, and I will see you in the next one. RogueGold. Out.